This is your boy E, you know, Mr. Technical Misfit himself. And today we're going to talk about cameras. And more importantly, the cameras that I use and the cameras that I'm thinking about upgrading to here in the future for the channel. Cameras for me has always been a hobby. It hasn't really been one of those things I use for work. Don't get me wrong, I love cameras. I absolutely love them. I don't care what kind of camera it is. I love anything that has a lens on it that you can take a picture on. I've always liked cameras. And what I have been thinking about lately is upgrading my camera. Not only for YouTube, but actually for some of the things that I want to do personally and as far as family and everything like that is concerned. Let me go ahead and get this out the way. It doesn't matter what type of camera you have if you want to shoot content, if you want to create content. That doesn't make a difference. As long as you can shoot it, do the best that you have, do the best you can, with what you have, and put it out there for everybody to see and share it. And if it's a passion of yours, doesn't really matter. What I've been shooting on and what I've been shooting on for the past 2 or 3 years on this channel has been the camera that you're looking at or that you see me on right now. It's the A6300, which is a Sony camera. It is a 4K mirrorless camera. I think it was one of the first 4K mirrorless cameras that Sony actually came out with. Don't quote me on that, but I think it is. But before that, I was a Canon shooter. You know, I use all kind of Canon cameras, from the point and shoot to the entry-level DSLR camera. Excuse me, I can't talk today. I remember my first real camera was like a Rebel XSI. Like, it was a horrible camera. But I bought it. It was like $500 kit from Best Buy. Boom, that was my first introductions to cameras. From that, I upgraded and upgraded. Finally upgraded to the A6300, and I've been in love with this camera. Don't get me wrong. The quality of this camera is amazing. You can get some really, really good professional footage out of the A6300. With that being said, now I think I want to get a full frame camera. Now, I say all of that because, hear me out. This is why I want to get a full frame camera. And don't get me wrong, some of these reasons are going to be first world problems. I know, I get that. But some of these reasons are legitimate, not only because it's a camera, but it's because Sony has made some updates to their camera since then. And I want to take advantage of those updates, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's my biggest thing. I want to take advantage of those updates. So here are my reasons why I am thinking about upgrading to a full frame camera. My biggest complaint about my camera now that I actually have, which is only a few complaints that I have about this particular camera itself, and it has something to do with the technology on the camera, is the battery life. The battery life sucks on this camera. I'm just going to be honest with you. That is one of the trade-offs you make when you purchase this camera. If you have this camera, or if you have any of the 6000, the 6500, 6300, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. The battery life sucks. Like, literally, I keep a bunch of the batteries in my pocket whenever I shoot with this camera. Even now, like, you hear that? Those are batteries in my pocket. Because at any given time, the battery life will just go kaput on this camera. Like, I don't think that's even one of the things of going to a full frame camera. That's just me getting a new camera, period. Like, the one thing I would definitely look at whenever I decide to upgrade cameras will be going to a camera that has much better battery life. All right, number 2 reason why I'm thinking about swapping over to a full frame lens is because the crop itself. So say for instance, you are shooting with a 50mm lens. Now remember, this is a crop sensor lens, so it's not full frame, you're not getting the full readout, but you're shooting with a crop sensor camera. And you put a 50mm lens on it. That is not a true 50mm lens at that time. That is more like an 85, 87mm lens at that time. Does that make a huge difference? No, But it kind of sucks when you having to buy your lenses based on the crop that you're gonna have to shoot with. So realistically, to probably get a 50, you'll have to get something more like a 22 or 24 millimeter to get a 50, which is not bad. That's still a great lens. But if you buy a 50 millimeter lens and it's a fast lens, you want it to be a 50 millimeter lens. My camera right now is literally like across the room and I'm shooting back here, probably a good 15, 20 feet away. So when you shoot on a crop sensor, like I said, that's not a big deal, but you have to take that in consideration. One of the things that I do not want to do or do not wish to do any longer is take that into consideration. So that is the other reason why I'm looking at going more full frame versus crop sensor, because when I slap a 50 millimeter lens on it, guess what? I'm getting 50 millimeters. So that is one of the things. Like I said, it's not a big deal, but it's definitely something that you want to think about when you're actually picking up a camera or when you're buying your first camera or anything like that. So that is number 2 reason of why I want to swap over. The number 3 reason is I just want the full frame look, just to be honest with you. Full frame look is that more cinematic kind of look, that shadow depth of field, that you can be up close and feel the frame with the subject and the background just falls off, meaning it's blurred out. It's just completely just looks smooth, and you get what a lot of people would say, or what my mom would say, yeah, it looks like 3D because it pops off the screen. But that's not really what it's doing. It's just that separation. When you have a larger frame or you have a larger sensor, the depth of field becomes shallow and narrow. So you can actually achieve that look of that drop off or that fall off or that bokeh or whatever you want to say in the background. And I just love that look. I like the way that gives you that more cinematic kind of drawn into, and there's so many more things you can do creatively with that, because you can then turn around and separate your subject from the background and still give it context, so to speak. So that is one of the reasons why I want a full frame. Can you do it with a crop sensor? Absolutely. But it goes into a lot of math, a lot of, pre-planning, so to speak. And pre-planning is not a bad thing, but it goes into a lot of pre-planning about how I'm going to shoot this, where I'm going to shoot this, and how I'm going to get that fall off. And 4th reason of why I want to get a full frame camera is just future proof. Full frame cameras still tend to last a little bit longer. I know people to this day that are still shooting with 5D Mark IIs, Mark IIIs, even though the Mark IVs are out. People are shooting, with some of the old Sony A7 IIs. People are even still shooting with the A7S. That's a full frame. Like, it's just future proof. You get a little bit more bang for your money, even though you do spend a little bit more. And then also, on the flip side of that is, you start investing more in lenses, because at that point you're not upgrading your body as much. You're actually spending your money on the glass, the part that actually does a lot of the work for your camera as far as getting the picture into it. So that is another reason, just being future proof. I mean, full frame cameras, the companies tend to put a little bit more technology into those cameras, because they most of the time are for professionals or semi-professionals or people that's really going to take the hobby seriously, if it's just a hobby for you. And that's the biggest thing, man. We are all out here we do this content thing because we want to. Most of us are not MKBHD. Most of us are not, Peter McKinnon. We don't make a lot of money on YouTube, or, you're not in it for the money. You're in it just purely for the fact of you like shooting videos. If you could make a living doing it, would you do it? Abso-freaking-lutely. But at the same time, this is fun for me. This is one thing that I love doing. I love turning on the camera. I love standing here talking to you guys, putting the content out, and just actually having fun with it. I love being able to shoot things and say, wow, that was a cool moment, and being able to look back on it, whether it's on photography or whether it's for video. And that's what the whole point of buying a tool for, is not the fact that you can't do it with the old tool. It's just a new one makes it a lot better. It makes it a lot easier, unlocks that creativity, and you're pushed to do things differently, or pushed to do certain things in a different way, or look at things a different way. And that's why I like cameras. Cameras force you to kind of look at the world around you differently. It's something about being able to look in that limited small frame for that moment and hit a button to capture it, or hit a button to record it where you can go back and play it. And honestly, that's there forever. Like once you upload it to YouTube, it's there forever. So you get a chance to kind of go back and look at your progression from, even with my channel, the cameras that I've shot with, and how my videos progress and videos progress and gotten better, and quality has gotten better, and I've stepped outside the box to shoot certain things a certain way. That's just part of the fun for me, man. So those are my reasons of why I want to upgrade to a full frame camera. Now, I do have a plan to upgrade to a full frame camera, and just to give you guys a hint, so that way, if you haven't hit that like button or that subscribe button, make sure you do it now, because you got some new stuff coming up. I promise you won't like it. You guys know the deal, man. Until next time, stay teched up.